Welcome, everyone, to the Around the Ballpark podcast. We are live. It is Thursday night, April the 24th, 2025, and coming a little bit later than usual. That's okay. There's so much sports going on. It's almost borderline ridiculous how many things are going on right now.
A plethora.
So, Darren, yeah, right. How are you doing tonight? Are you watching anything right now, sports-wise, in the background, or are you just kind of coming home from a work day?
Coming home from work day, had a little bit of dinner, and here I am.
Okay. Yeah, same here. Work day and a little dinner, and then went to the gym. And,
that I did too. Went to the gym. Got to go to the gym, especially this time of year. You know, tarps are coming off.
Too long for me to go, so I didn't want to overdo it today, but it's all good to be back. And I always make excuses because it's not close enough to the house, and I don't go here, go there. But so finally, no more excuses. So gonna
love that.
Give it a shot. That. So, but yeah, we got to go together. It was nice. And so those of you that have jumped on, I see one person on at least in each area. So whether you're on X, YouTube, or Facebook, thank you for jumping on with us. Go ahead and hit the like button. That is the most important thing you can do, other than share your comments.
Smash that button.
So before we dive into what we're going to talk about, what was that? Smash it.
Smash that button.
Smash. Yep. And before we talk about pretty much everything, Darren, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a word about our sponsors over there at Nashville Tax Solutions.
Attention, Palm Bay and Fort Pierce. Are you struggling with tax issues? Just because we're past April 15th, trust me, 1099 people, so people who forgot, it's late, whatever the case may be. If you're struggling, whether you're behind on filings, dealing with a lien, or just need expert guidance, Nashville Tax Solution is here to help. Their team knows the ins and outs of tax relief and is ready to fight for you. Don't take Mike's word for it. Don't just take my word for it. Listen to what some of the clients have conveyed to us. Chris Bennett and his team saved me from a financial nightmare. They're knowledgeable, clear, and compassionate. So don't let tax troubles keep you up at night. Call 855-627-4829. Visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com today. Nashville Tax Solutions, because tax problems deserve real solutions.
Thank you, Darren. And we are just so grateful for Chris and the team. Hopefully we'll have him back on here not too long just to touch base and see how things are going. He's all over the place, as are we, it seems, lately. So it's good to be home. Last week, as you know, was in Cincinnati, having a great time with my son, who, praise report, as of this afternoon, has officially finished high school.
Congratulations.
Super cool. So we'll be having a little graduation party for him in a couple of weeks here. So super cool. Super excited for him. And he is going to go on to college. I know a couple of years ago he wasn't quite sure, but he's pretty determined now. And so just grateful for that. And so kind of celebrated a little bit today, and we'll keep doing that. But great day overall. And you got a little driving in. You'll be having his license before you know it. So all things good on my end. And so, Darren, we have so much to talk about, and I see a few of you more in here. I'm going to go ahead and share one more place here real quick. Make sure we got that in there. And then we will continue on. But I do want to first bring up, let's go New York Mets first. If you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit there, your thoughts. So we are now almost a full month in this. Almost 3.5 weeks into the season. And most websites have the Mets as the number 3 team in the power rankings. You could make a case they're 1, 2, or 3. So where would you put them right now, taking the fan cap off? Where would you rank them in the power rankings, and who would your top 3 be right now?
Well, my top 3 are the Dodgers. I would say the Mets and the Yankees.
And the Yankees. Okay. Yep. Interesting. I think the Yankees would be up there. I would still put, even though they tampered a little bit, I would actually go Dodgers, Mets, Padres. But you can make a case for Yankees over Padres.
Padres. Definitely.
Yeah.
They're like right there.
So good. Yeah. They're playing great. And the Giants and
you
how
mean
cool
the Wilmer Flores led Giants?
Yeah, led Giants, leading the major leagues in what do you call it? In RBIs, right? I believe.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I think I asked you this before, but we both love Wilmer Flores, his heart and everything else. Did you think X number of years later, what's it, 7 years now, 6 years, that he would still be in the league, much less thriving the way he is?
Oh, absolutely not. Not to sell him short, but I just felt like he was pigeonholed into that utility role and whatnot. And just like I guess shame on me, right? Because you look at Justin Turner, wasn't given a chance to play every day, and look what he became. So it's almost like an identical story in a way, sort of, in terms of the numbers and stuff. So it took him a little bit longer, but forget, like, Wilmer Flores was signed at 15 years old when he first came on. So he is still developing, and really too, the thing that, and similar to the Mets, I really, even though the Giants don't have the power bats that the Mets do, the Mets and the Giants are very similar in path right now, because the Giants are excellent. They're in the top 5 right now, power rankings. Nobody predicted that. Easily 4th in the division, easily a team that's not even on the radar. But just like the Mets and Juan Soto, who's not hitting right now, he's making great defensive plays and he's doing enough, but he's not, not Juan Soto yet. Same with the Giants in terms of their superstar. He has, I think, just hit his first home run, Willie Adames. So when he gets going, just like when Juan Soto gets going, just like when Sean Manaea gets on the team, just like when we get Lindor, we get McNeil and we get Alvarez, it's going to be fun. Now, let me ask you this question, because this is hot off the press. I was surprised by the news. I actually was talking to Tommy about this yesterday. So the Mets opted to release, or to send down, we knew 2 people were going down. We knew Alvarez and McNeil were coming up. So we knew 2 people were going down. We knew that Sanger was going to go down, backup catcher, which I absolutely love that kid. I think he's understandable why he went down, because right now they don't really have a place for him. They're not going to carry 3 catchers. But Brett Beatty goes back down over the outfielder that just got called up. So are you surprised with that? Or I didn't quite think they needed 3 infielders, so I think they needed to keep that extra outfielder. Is what
I think coming off of his home run, I think he's going to be annoyed. But if you think about, sometimes lightning does strike in the bottle twice. This time last year, it was Vientos who went down. And he was very angry, and he came back with a chip on his shoulder and a focus that is carrying over now because he's starting to get out of it. I think that's a good thing for Beatty. Am I surprised? Yes, but that tells me a couple things. I am a big Sterling Marte fan. But obviously, he can't really play the outfield anymore. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And one of the other center fielders must be a little more injured than they've let on. So the need's probably in the outfield. Though their best center fielder's playing left. I don't know why Nino's in left field.
Yeah, and that's one I was talking about. I really feel like, and I don't know why not, but nothing against Tyrone Taylor, but why can't we have? I would have Winker in left, Nimmo in center, Soto in right. Have Tyrone Taylor play 1 day a week in left, 1 day a week in center, or you give Nimmo 1 day a week off. You give Winker. Winker's too good to be. Now I loved having him on the bench. That's great to have 2 great bats off the bench, but I think he needs to find his way in the lineup more regularly. And Marte, he's okay with the role of coming off the bench, playing sporadically. So I don't know. I just wish, and even with McNeil, he could potentially play left, but they're going to keep him at second. I was just more surprised to see Acuna stay, only because Beatty had more reps at third than Acuna. But
I think Keith Hernandez and Gary Cohen, but especially Keith Hernandez, has a lot to do with Acuna staying, because he just waxes poetic about that kid. He's just got the intangibles, could steal a base. And if you really think about it, there's other people who can steal a base, but Acuna is a threat to steal. And so you can use him as, that late inning pinch runner. There's a lot he can do, and get him some time in the infield. Again, Beatty, I'm a little surprised, but not that surprised.
Yeah, not that surprised. I think I even thought of a scenario where they would, I guess because the outfield depth, because they're not wanting to put Winker or Marte in the outfield, they didn't want to have just 3 outfielders, so they had to carry that 4th. And I guess I think this move to me says that they didn't want to put McNeil in the outfield. So
Right.
I get it. But I think, let's give it some time now. This is probably unpopular opinion, but I would do a 50-50 split with Alvarez and Torrens. I think even though Torrens' stats may not jump off the page,
I don't disagree.
guy that gets it hit,
I don't disagree.
you don't. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that Torrens can't play 6 innings and Alvarez goes 6 to 9. Like, that's fine. But especially get him, I don't want to be seeing Alvarez play 6 out of every 7 games. Let him get acclimated. He has that. I don't want him to be like Dominic Smith, where he had those power numbers one year last year. He really just kind of was there. Like, he didn't really hit for power at all. So I don't want to see that again. So he's good. He's worthy being on the team and everything, worthy being the starter. But I don't want Torrens getting the Tomas Nido treatment and playing every once in a blue moon. Hopefully he can find his way on there more times than not. That's just
You mean Detroit Tiger Thomas Nino?
Yes. How is he doing this year?
Yeah, he's Thomas Nito. He just, on occasion plays and but he got a hit the other night. I agree. I definitely don't want to see Torrens just playing on Sunday. He gets clutch hits. He got the beautiful hit last week that kept him in the game. He's very good behind the plate. And really not talking any sort of shade against Alvarez, but what has he really done to earn the job other than the old regime marketing how great he's supposed to be? Is he that great? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think 3 to 4 starts a week is enough for him. And if we're getting 50-50 with Marte and Winker for whatever reason, we should be getting 50-50 with those two as well. But I don't think that's the route they're going to go. But we'll see what happens. But that's what I would do.
But I really do like that combo platter of Marte and Winkler. They are like one person. You can tell how close they are.
Yes, really. And there's no I don't like my role. They embrace it. So we will get, you guys see the title in the video and we have the background there. I will get into a little bit of a WrestleMania recap here as well. But I want to stick with the sports first and we'll get there. So tonight is also the NFL draft. I was at the gym. I saw the first 2 picks. Let me ask this question. So I don't know if you got a chance to see it. And again, I know very, very little of college football other than I enjoy watching UFC play. But so I'm watching this and Tennessee makes their pick. And then at the number 2 spot, last minute, Cleveland trades their pick to Jacksonville and they move down to 5. But then Jacksonville not only gets their second pick, but they're also getting a 2nd round pick. So for those that may not understand that, what would go into that? Why would a second pick trade down to get 5th pick? Because they each got 3 picks. So they didn't get 3 first round picks or anything like that. They each basically got 3 picks each. So what's the thought process?
Let's pretend, just to use baseball terms, everyone, just because it might be easier for someone who are watching. So let's pretend that you have a strong starting lineup in baseball. And for some reason, you're drafting number 2 or number 1 even. It might behoove you wait a minute, I don't have a lot of depth to trade down to get extra depth. So you trade with somebody else who has a desperate need for, say, a left fielder, but you have a great left fielder. Well, they need a first baseman. Well, I got Pete Alonso. And the best available player is Pete Alonso. So I don't really, or somebody like Pete Alonso, let's say. But I have a guy that's really, really good at first base. I don't need that person. But what I can do is trade that, or have somebody who really needs that position player overpay. So I'm going to go down in the draft a little bit. But I'm going to get picks. So there you go, right there.
So basically there, so that as we were talking about, Jaguars bumped up from the first round to get the 2nd pick, and then the Browns get the 5th pick, and and so on. So some people may not understand that. I was actually at the gym listening to music, watching the screen, and I'm like, oh wow, okay, that's interesting. But Jacksonville does get the Heisman Trophy winner. Their need was cornerback. That's who they got, cornerback, wide receiver. So Seem to be very happy with that pick. As a Jets fan perspective, I'm not sure where they fell in line, but
they're number 7.
They were number 7. Did they get who?
I again, I'm going to defer to something you heard me say. I'm going to be very boring, but I am a nut about. I don't need sizzle. We need help on the offensive line badly. I don't need another linebacker, and they show the same 3 highlights over and over. What a tackle against, fairly ridiculous university. I want some big uglies to protect my quarterback. So if we got, and I don't know who we picked, I didn't get a chance to look at, but if we got an offensive lineman, I'm very happy.
Do you want me to tell you who?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So it says number 7, they got tackle Armand Membao.
That's what I want. That's what I want. I want a tackle. I want an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
now, the tackle protects the quarterback from the outside rusher. That's a great pick.
That's a great pick. Yeah. So they would have been happy. No booing would have happened in that. Where were they? Green Bay, I think it was.
Green Bay. So tell me about your Panthers. Who did they get?
Great question. I was actually in route at the time, so I only got to see the first 2 picks before I had to head back home. But I believe, I think it was a wide receiver. McMillan. McMillan. Number 8. They had the 8th pick. I think it was
right behind the Jets.
Yeah, McMillan at number 8 wide receiver. So that's their outfit. They went with that. Also, not only is the football draft going on, you got the hockey playoffs going on. You had some big matchups already going on. You had the big win for the Florida Panthers the other night, going up 1-0.
And they won tonight, 2-0.
Yep, and they won tonight 2-0 final. So now they're going back to Miami, already up 2-0. So that's awesome. And I didn't get to catch some of that, but I did see a little bit of the other night when they're 6-2 to win. So exciting stuff. We're going to actually have a guest coming up. We'll have more details later, but Florida Panther is a well-known member of the Florida Panthers family, will be on this podcast shortly.
I love how this podcast is growing.
Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. So we'll give you plenty of notice on who that individual is. But huge shout out to a good friend of mine, Mike, who is helping make that happen. So looking forward to that. Right after, he's kind of busy now with the season going on, and they're going to go deep into the playoffs, in my opinion. So we'll keep posted with that. And then,
listen, there's no reason to think they won't have another cup in their hands.
Yeah,
they are that good.
Yep. And then, of course, any others before we touch on the NBA, which we have never said anything NBA on this podcast before, but any other series? What series to you is most intriguing with the Stanley Cup? Is there one that's or team that you're?
Well, if you know, I am an original 6 fanatic. The 6 original teams in the NHL. And one of them, the Toronto Maple Leafs, haven't won a Stanley Cup since the 60s. And they keep getting eliminated every year by Boston. They go, oh, we got the greatest player. We got Austin Matthews. And they just fall short. So 2 years ago, they passed the first round for the first time in like a long time. And now they're playing the Ottawa Senators. Bruins didn't even make the playoffs. This could be the year. This could be the year they surprise people, in the Eastern Conference. And they're up 2-0 against the Ottawa Senators, and they're winning right now 2-0. So for the game 3. So I'm interested to see that. And the LA Kings beat Edmonton. Again, Edmonton have the greatest player in McDavid, but Kings just kind of routinely beat them. So, I'm interested in that. Avalanche lost last night. Hockey's wonderful right now.
And it's 2-0. Edmonton's down, right?
Yep.
Yep. And speaking of, some exciting hockey. I've finally found a few stations or a few games I can finally watch here.
Great.
But and then shifting gears for a moment, and as you said, we're talking about everything in a short amount of time here. NBA, I see Brian is on there. Hello, Brian. Hope you're doing well. I know you're a big Miami Heat fan. Unfortunately, they're down 2-0 to Cleveland. Right now, we've got a very close game with the Knicks and Pistons, game 3. series.
106, 101,
Yeah.
3 minutes and 17 seconds left. Not that I'm watching that too.
How many TVs do you have in your? You got the ESPN Wide World of Sports thing going, or you just
Exactly. Exactly.
With technology, here we are in 2025. You can't do split screen anymore. Like I feel like that's a missing element of all these 4K
Agreed.
TVs. Like yeah.
No, it's true.
I wish we would. But yeah, some good NBA series. Unfortunately, Orlando Magic, they gave an effort. They're down 2-0 in Boston. I mean, they drew Boston, so it is what it is.
Boston is tough. Boston's an amazing team.
That's tough. Pacers looking good, up 2-0 on Milwaukee and Thunder, Grizzlies, and stuff like that. So not a big basketball guy, but it is playoffs, so it's always good to keep an eye on things there as well.
Now, here's the thing. Knicks are a 3rd seed playing a 6th seed Boston. If they lose this game tonight, they're going to fall to 2-1 in the best out of 4 with the next game in Detroit. They got to win tonight. And right now it does look good. They had a big lead at the half, and now they're holding on by their fingernails.
Yes, and Brian says bad year for them. Good core, I think. Brian, let me ask: what if they get this thing turned around? Obviously, I mean they're playing Cleveland and whatnot. But have you been to a playoff game before, Brian, for Miami? Or I know you've been to a couple regular season games, but I can't remember if you've made a playoff game for them yet. So if you wouldn't mind throwing that in the comments, because I was just thinking, I don't think I've been to a playoff game for anything. Like that would be the next goal for something, just to see a playoff game. I think that would be awesome. Oh, you did go. That's right. You did go to the finals. That's right.
That's awesome.
Okay.
As you know, I've been to 3 World Series games, 2 Yankees, 1 Mets. Mets got creamed. That was the Dwight Gooden game 2 against the Red Sox. That was not a fun game.
That's funny. Yeah, I was at the gym tonight, and they had on the TV. It was like meant to be. I haven't been to the gym in like 6 months, and the TV number 4, right directly in front of me, they're showing Bob Costas in one corner and reviewing the '86 World Series, and they keep showing Bill Buckner with the ball, and just over and over again, the Mets celebrating. I'm like, yeah, all right, this is where I need to be.
So speaking of that, unpack that play. What happened?
Oh, and Brian, I'll get to that 1 second. Brian mentioned it's a gift from his mom, and the Heat got blasted.
I love that.
That's right, because I remember we were at the same function, and then you were going to that. So, but you got to go. That's an experience you'll always have. So, that's awesome. So I'm still that play there. So that inning, obviously, in '86, the Mets had 2 outs, nobody on, and then they get on base, single here and there, and then I still feel when in that play when Buckner missed that ball, I still feel like Mookie Wilson could beat that out. We'll never know.
That's what happened. I agree. I agree.
Unfortunately for Buck, the whole situation, we'll never know. But I really, really do feel, as far back as he was, and his knees at the time weren't great, I feel like that's an element to it. Some people disagree. That's fine. I mean, there's really no sense to argue that because never going to happen. It's not going to happen again. But I feel like, and I'm glad that once they won that World Series, they were able to bring Buckner back and kind of, give him an old pat on the back. And,
yeah,
I mean, player.
He was a great hustler, great player.
Yeah.
Great player. Listen, I mean, the way that I looked at it, he was getting a little aggressive in the right way because Mookie was going to beat that out.
Yeah. Yep. He was. I bet he just had a big old cup of RC Cola right before that at bat, and he was ready to go.
So
let me
ask you this: this past weekend, Max Fried's thrown a no-hitter against your Rays. All right. And the official scorer changes an error to a base hit. What happened there?
Man. What What was that in like the 6th inning? Was that or
No, well, the play was the 6th inning, but they changed it in the 8th when he's throwing the no hitter. Now he gave up a hit afterwards.
afterwards? Yeah.
But come on,
What's the word I can use on this podcast? The cojones, the grapefruits, as
yes,
man would say.
yes,
The grapefruit
gumption
to make that call. I mean, I think you can get away with that in April versus later. Like, because in April, you're still kind of looked at as nobody's going to get a no-hitter in April because or perfect game because they're not going to let them go long enough to do so. And most teams, you see Toronto, they let Bassett, I think, has already had 2 starts of over 110 pitches. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all in that position. I mean, took 2 innings. Like, what revelation went on in their head 2 innings later that went, you know what? I'm gonna stick it to them. This will be good. Watch what happens when I do this.
And that's nothing against the Rays. It's nothing against. That's against the official score. I mean, stick to your guns. What are you doing?
Terrible. Yeah, just not good. And because Tampa actually had a no-hitter going the week prior in the 5th inning, and the pitcher had 3 walks, and they pulled him and just went to the bullpen with a no-hitter with 62 pitches. I was like,
that would have never happened when we were kids. Never.
No, ridiculous. But so I do want to, and we'll tie some loose ends up here at the end there, but I do want to just do a quick thoughts here on WrestleMania weekend.
No, I don't want nothing quick about it. I want to hear all about it, how our selections went, everything.
So if you are a wrestling fan, the highs and lows, I think. So literally it started on Friday. They had Friday Night SmackDown. And then right after, which was a 3-hour show. So that kind of set up WrestleMania. And then at 1 a.m. Eastern time, because the event was in Vegas, 1 a.m, they had the Hall of Fame ceremony. So if you stayed up for that, kudos to you. I watched it the next morning.
I watched it with my coffee.
Yes, right. So one of the best things about it is Triple H, who was inducted in the Hall of Fame against his own wishes. He didn't want to go in yet. So he does a speech. The average main event speech for that is typically 25, 30 minutes. He goes an hour and 15 minutes. And he even mentions in the comments, because the next morning at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., I should say, NXT was doing, which is the minor league WWE, they were doing their big once-a-year pay-per-view, like their big pay-per-view for the year. They do it more than once a year, but that was their big one. So their show starts at 11, and they had to be there 5 a.m. call time, right? So Triple H's best friend, Shawn Michaels, who inducted him in the Hall of Fame, is sitting there, and Triple H goes, the longer I talk, the more it's going to be rough for Shawn to wake up in the morning because he's got a 5 a.m. call time. So he's just going and going. He wouldn't wrap the speech up. So finally, an hour and 15 minutes later, that ends. So then you go into which in Great Hall of Fame, you had Triple H, Lex Luger, Total Package was there. The Natural Disasters went in as the tag team, and then Michelle McCool for the women's division. Kamala got in the Legacy wing, so that was cool to see. So then after all that, that's just one night. Then they go into Saturday morning. They do the 3-hour NXT pay-per-view, which was phenomenal. That's the only thing I have not yet watched, so I'm excited. I got to get if I find some time to watch that. Then they have a 3-hour, kind of like the Super Bowl, 3-hour pre-show for WrestleMania night 1, mind you. Then at 7 p.m. and Heather, I see here in the chat, it was so nice having you and Mark and over and some others came as well. So we watched WrestleMania night 1. We had a little watch party here at the house. So much fun. So night 1, the show was good. The main event was great. The main event, the Seth Rollins, Drew with Roman Reigns and CM Punk, that was the match of the weekend, I think, honestly. So just some quick recap of the match results there. So night number 1 starts off with Jey Uso winning the WWE Championship from Gunther in the opening match. So Jey Uso, the tag team guy, was able to do it on his own, wins the World Heavyweight Championship, first match of the night. So great way to kick off the evening. Then we go right into the New Day with some shenanigans. I believe Darren used the word shenanigans. The New Day with some shenanigans.
Great word.
Actually defeat the War Raiders to win the tag team championship. So 2 matches into WrestleMania, you've got 2 title changes already, which is super cool. And then from there, we go into, and I might have the order wrong, which is fine, but we got Jade Cargill and Naomi. Jade Cargill gets the win in that one. Great match. I think they're going to continue that storyline on a little bit, but blood feud, and you really do feel like those two don't like each other, even though they are good friends. Great match. So Jade Cargill got the win there. Unfortunately, Rey Mysterio, due to injury, was not able to compete, and so the new signing, Rey Fenix, basically filled in for him, and Rey Fenix took on the Grande Americano, one of Brian's favorite of all-time luchadors. And so Grande Americano gets the win over Rey Fenix. Fantastic match. Chad Gable or not Chad Gable, had a great time watching that match. So Americano wins that one there. Then we get another title change as LA Knight falls to Jacob Fatu. So Jacob Fatu, which is awesome to see. He posted a quote that said, because those that don't know Jacob Fatu, he spent some time in prison. So he said, from the prison window to winning a championship at WrestleMania. I think I forget the word he used, the airplane window or something like that. But it was just awesome to see full circle that happened, that moment for him. And even though he's a bad guy, the crowd went nuts for him winning that championship. And I think it was the right call, even though LA Knight only had the title for 40-something days. He had just won it back. Jacob Fatu, they got to protect him, and he is a beast right now. So Jacob Fatu wins the U.S. championship there in that one. And then, of course, and then we had the women's championship where Tiffany Stratton retained over Charlotte Flair. That match was probably the worst of the weekend. I had high hopes for that match. But sometimes when there's animosity there, sometimes it's beautiful. Like, they can make it work. Other times they don't want to take bumps for each other, and it just comes across sloppy. And I think that's what happened. The real life animosity between the two spoiled over. And so Tiffany Stratton got the win, deservingly so. Charlotte didn't need the win there, but it just didn't come across very well. And then in the main event, beautiful match. And I go 7 for 7 on night one, so that is super cool. 7 for 7, and in the match, Seth Rollins gets the win. And how, you might ask? Paul Heyman called it just before it happened. Paul Heyman, as CM Punk's about to give the final blow to Roman Reigns, gets behind his very best friend CM Punk and hits him with a low blow. And he's basically saying, "You made me choose against my tribal chief. He's my guy. I'm with the tribal chief." So Roman's got a big smile on his face. Roman's about to hit Seth Rollins for the knockout blow. Paul gets behind Roman and then hits Roman with a low blow. So not only did Paul Heyman low blow his best friend, but he low blowed the person he's been with for the last 5 years in this corner, Roman Reigns. Goes with Seth Rollins and leaves and walks out, and Seth Rollins wins. That's the final visual we have of night number one with Seth Rollins. So the fans going home like confused, like what in the world just happened here? So that's finished as night one. I don't know how the talent is not exhausted after that. Sunday, you have a 3-hour pre-show, and then it gets into night number two. Now, night number two was clearly the better night outside of one match, and I'll get to that here in this quick recap. I feel like that MLB show, the quick pitch, where they just recap everything, like each game in a few minutes. So doing the best they can. Night two stick kicks off with very well could have been the match of the weekend. Part two was the triple threat match for the women's championship with Io Sky and Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Io Sky gets the win, retains the championship. So unlike the first night where we had title changes in every match, it's nice to see the champion retains here. So Io is still your women's champion. Big win. Phenomenal triple threat match. Like, you have to see it. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, watch that match. And so we didn't have people over for this night, of course, because it was Easter Sunday. So bad scheduling on their part. Maybe they thought it was a good idea. So Eileen and I watched it ourselves, which was fine. But it was nice having Heather and Mark and everybody else over, and Tevin, a couple others on night one. So from there, we go into a banger of a match with Drew McIntyre against Damian Priest. Damian Priest has the band Slayer actually play him out to the ring, which is super cool. And Drew McIntyre wins that one in a slobber knocker, as Jim Ross would say. Fantastic, fantastic match. So Drew's going to be on to bigger and better things after that. We do get to see, after that match, there is a tag team match where Becky Lynch returns to team with Lyra Valkyria against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, and they win the Women's Tag Team Championships on Becky Lynch's first night back after being away for 9 months. So unfortunately for Bayley, she got the short end of the stick, got kicked out of the match, taken out backstage by who knows who, and Becky Lynch takes her spot and wins the championship on that night. Then continuing on from there, you have Randy Orton come down to the ring, and we don't know who he's going to wrestle, and out comes, which is a really big deal, comes Joe Hendry, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion of another promotion, shows up on the WrestleMania, which is super cool. He loses in 3 minutes, and a lot of people were not happy about that, but it needed to be somebody that could take the loss, that he's not going to lose any fame or anything like that from that. He got his WrestleMania moment. I mean, he's facing the 14-time champion Randy Orton, so nothing to be, nothing wrong with that at all. So Orton gets the win there. Super good for him, and now he's the number one contender. So that's the first half of night 2. 3 matches after that. We get Logan Paul and AJ Styles, and as I called it, Logan Paul gets the upset win over AJ Styles, which I think was expected just because they're going to keep pushing that, because the guy can go in the ring. You can say what you want about him and his personal life and things like that, but he brings it each and every time. He knows how to sell a story, and he knows how to get under your skin. So Logan Paul, big win there in that one. And then before you get, there's one other match that I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know there's one other match that took place on night 2. It's eluding my memory real quick. If I can't think of it, we'll always go back to it. But it's not coming to mind. So we'll go ahead and go straight to the main event. And of course, the main event was John Cena chasing for the World Heavyweight Championship against Cody Rhodes. And this was a big match. This is the one that was basically brought on based on the storyline with The Rock and Travis Scott and all that good stuff. And let's put it this way. Not only did The Rock not show up, The Rock was nowhere to be found here. But this match was the worst match of the besides Charlotte and Tiffany. This was absolutely a terrible ending.
What made it so bad?
What was that?
What made it so bad?
It was so bad because John Cena, he's getting up there in age, and they call it the 5 moves of doom. Like, he only has really a 5-move repertoire right now. So it just wasn't, he was not moving as quickly as he would able to 10 years ago. And it just didn't flow very good. Unfortunately, a lot of stalling here and there. And then the ending, just very anticlimactic. Your Rock's heavily invested in the storyline, nowhere to be found. Travis Scott, instead of just running down to the ring, does a 5-minute entrance as he walks down the ramp, comes in there, basically causes Cody to lose the match. John Cena wins the championship, number 17. And the crowd's actually cheering. Like, they're not even booing Cody. They're booing Cody, which is backwards. That sometimes happens with these WrestleMania crowds. They're a little bit different than other people. So you have that. So fast forward now to Monday night, where this story ends. So a lot of people were very disappointed. A decent WrestleMania, but not great. Really felt like you can feel that there's between Triple H and The Rock, like, you can feel like there's some sort of difference in opinion on things. Mm-hmm. The Rock claims that he wanted to step away to get the spotlight on Cena, but you can't keep stop and starting the storyline, and he keeps coming and he leaves. He either needs to be there or he needs to not be there. And so
I agree.
Forward,
you can't half step.
Yeah, and so it feels like he's just not invested, and he's trying to pull back the curtain and say, oh, it's just this and that. And he went on Pat McAfee show on Tuesday because I think Ari Emanuel and TKO were like, hey, Rock, you need to save face because we're not in good, we should be the talk of the town after WrestleMania, and a lot of people are not very happy right now. But come Monday night, I feel like they right the wrong on Monday night. The Raw after Mania is always the best show of the year for Monday Night Raw, and it didn't disappoint this year. Returns for Rusev was back, which is super cool. Is one of my favorites. But at the end of the show, you had CM Punk out there. You had Seth Rollins. You had Roman Reigns out there with Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and that was the match I missed. Braun Breaker joins up with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, sort of like a Dangerous Alliance 2.0. So that was super cool to see all the pieces come together there. I loved that ending. Hopefully they got a lot more people in that stable. Braun Breaker lost the Intercontinental Championship on Sunday to Dirty Dominic Mysterio, who was like the most over guy on the roster, even though he's supposed to be hated. The crowd is completely flipped on Dominic, and deservingly so for him. He's worked his little butt off to get where he's at, and so I'm very happy for him to have that championship. It's a big deal for Dominic, and I felt like Monday Night Raw just hit on all cylinders. New talent coming in, storylines progressing. So we're going to see now in Backlash in just 3 weeks, the main event, Randy Orton against John Cena, match that we saw many times 20 years ago. We're getting it here in 2025 in Randy Orton's hometown, St. Louis. So that is your 12.5-minute, super quick recap of 4 days of nonstop action. I'm sure I could space that out in a 3-hour show if need be, but it's after 10 o'clock, so we just have just a few minutes left. But overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I was very excited going in, and some matches far exceeded expectations. Some matches really disappointed. But the Raw after Mania, I would give that a 9.5. I think it saved a lot of things for me. And I see Brian mentioned a lot of loose ends need to be tied up as far as storylines. Yes, absolutely. But they've got some new talent coming in. So we shall see. And again, when you bring the more talent you bring in, it's harder to find spots for them. So hopefully they don't have a big clearinghouse where they let everybody go. They did sign, Darren, big news on Sunday. They announced that they bought a competitor in AAA, which is one of the most popular wrestling promotions in the entire world. They purchased AAA out of Mexico, and so now they have the rights to that company, whether they call them great. NXT Mexico, whether they keep the AAA name. So that is a huge deal for them, and just expanding their product over the globe and stuff. A lot of people think it might be bad because people wrestle independently, and you don't want now. Yes, we don't want WWE buying everybody, but I think that's only going to enhance the product, get more eyeballs on it. So I see it as a win. So myself. So yeah. So if you were a podcaster and you covered every single event, kudos to you. I'm sure you've got no voice left, and your electric bill is probably out the roof from all the amount of hours that you've had to watch all these things. But it was a lot of fun, and I think it'd be nice if they found a way to space it out even more instead of so much in just 3 days, like packed in there. It's definitely much more fun than an NFL draft, going to a Super Bowl, going to a series, because there's just so many. There's Meet in WWE World where you meet the talent, autographs and signatures, and there's just so much to do. It's really the best experience. However, though, I looked up prices for Backlash, and the cheapest ticket was I think $195. No, I'm sorry, it was $195 for like the highest level in the building. Like they're pricing out people, which is unfortunate. I understand at WrestleMania, but
it's not just wrestling. It's not just wrestling. You know this.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately there's the haves, and then there's the everyone else, and they're pricing people out. They're pricing kids out. And again, I'm talking about every sport, not just wrestling. And it's a shame. It's a shame. There should be. Look, okay, maybe in the nosebleeds, but there should be just this, I don't know, 300, maybe 1,000, $35 tickets. Let's go. Like for people who really can't afford it. And by the way, $35 still a family of 4 plus parking. You're still spending a couple $100 a night.
Yeah, easily.
When you can just order Domino's and get pay-per-view for $75 and and get the really good play-by-play, the
All that
backstage
good stuff. Yeah, there's memes of people watching WrestleMania from the nosebleeds on their phone. They paid, I think that ticket was $500 for the nosebleed ticket. They paid $500 to go, and they were watching it on their phone with headphones.
Yeah.
Kind of silly.
I wanted to be there. I wanted to feel the energy. Okay. Yes. By the way, what a win.
Big win. Yep.
Listen, and then did you see it? There's 1 second left. Then the game was over. Then it wasn't over. And then the Detroit got the ball. I was like, oh, are you kidding me?
Yes. So much happening as we're talking in the background, watching everything. But no, you're right. You hit the nail on the head with that. With it's not just wrestling, it's concert tickets, it's everything across the board. Although when I went to that Reds game last week, I was second row, just a little bit behind. So I wasn't quite at third base. I wasn't quite outfield. I was kind of like in between. I think I paid say $32 after taxes, $28 after taxes. I think it was for the
That's
second
wonderful.
row. So every once in a while I could find a good deal. So as the season ticket seat, so I got in early. So guys, thank you so much. I know it's late here. We just want to make sure we got on. It's Thursday night, and we wanted to just say hello. Thank you to each of you. We have so much fun doing this. We will, the next time you see us, so Darren will not be here on Sunday night, prior commitment, but Brian Anderson will be on with me. We're going to have Dash Davis on. We're going to get to hear his personal testimony. Super, super excited for that. You want to make sure, turn your notifications on that you're here Sunday night for that 8 o'clock on the channel. And then Darren and I will be back. All things should be good next Thursday. Yes, next Thursday. So until then, any final thoughts, Darren, before you close shop?
Listen, sports is a wonderful microcosm of life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you come up short. But you got to be in the game. You got to be in the game. You got to offer life every day and feel great. Granted, and blessed for what you do. I love it. I mean, here we talked wrestling, and you got me itching to really get back into it full bore. We talked NFL draft. We talked NBA. Did we mention the Mets had the best record in the league? We talked baseball. Yes. We talked baseball. And how great is this? I mean, this is what it's about. I love it. I love it. And Wilmer Flores, early MVP candidate. That's what I heard. Is that true?
Yeah, could be. And you got Aaron Judge, of course, batting like 450 something. Yep. He's doing great.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Exciting season, and it's one of the rare times where you have, even though football's not playing, it's like tonight is one of those rare nights where like all four sports are showcased. It's like one of the only nights a year where all four sports are showcased at the same time. So awesome night to be so thank you guys. You could have been watching the draft. Maybe you are watching the draft, but thank you for being on with us here. And until Sunday night, we will see you around the ballpark. Bye, guys.